Hi, I'm Jodi. I want to tell you a story about something that happened to me. Honestly, I still feel a bit embarrassed thinking about it, but back then, I saw things very differently. Back in school, everyone thought I was a total nerd. My classmates were going to cool parties, dating each other, living their best lives, while I was stuck in the library or helping teachers. My only friends were Tara and Greta, two girls who were just as invisible as I was. We were like the misfit squad. All we ever did was sit around dreaming about what it would be like to actually be popular. I also had a side job as a secretary for our principal, Miss Stewart. She handpicked me because I was responsible and organized. She was the definition of doing things by the book, totally honest and strictly professional. My job was to organize school files, archive folders, and take minutes during faculty meetings. I heard absolutely everything, so I knew every secret hidden behind closed doors. For example, I found out that one of the students, a boy named Bobby, kept wetting his pants. I also learned that our gym teacher, Mr. Brown, was having an affair with the biology teacher, Miss Lynch. Of course, every one of those stories was a closely guarded secret, and I had to keep it that way. Tara and Greta were always nagging me to spill some tea. Come on, Jodi. You know everything that goes on in that office. Just give us one little secret. But I turned them down every time. I wanted to be like Miss Stewart, principled and trustworthy. You've turned into a total snob. Everyone was talking about the biggest party of the year, and as usual, I wasn't even an afterthought on the guest list. I desperately wanted to go, mostly because I knew that David, a guy I had a massive crush on, would be there. When they started talking about the party right in front of me, acting like I didn't even exist, something inside me just snapped. I couldn't take it anymore. Hey guys, did you know Bobby still wets his pants? The room just exploded with laughter. No way! Tell us more. You're the one who knows all the dirt, right? That's when I made up my mind. I spilled a few secrets about the teachers and told them about the gym teacher's affair with the biology teacher. My classmates crowded around me, listening with their mouths open and laughing. Listen, you have to come to our party. You've got to tell us the rest. I said yes before I even had time to think. I felt a tiny pang of guilt for betraying those secrets, but it worked. I was finally invited. When I got to that party, I spotted David right away. To get his attention, I started spilling school secrets again, and it worked like a charm. David heard the story about the teacher who fell asleep during a meeting and started snoring loudly, and he burst out laughing. For the rest of the party, we talked and laughed, and he looked at me like I was the most interesting person in the world. The next day, everything was different. The popular guys were actually coming up to me. Hey Jodi, what's up? I was finally popular. And all it took was airing everyone's dirty laundry. I loved the attention, but deep down, I still felt guilty. Later, I saw a crowd surrounding Bobby, mocking him and pointing fingers. He turned beet red and bolted down the hall. I tried to look the other way and keep walking, pretending I didn't see him. That's when I ran right into Tara and Greta. I can't believe you betrayed us like that. You spilled all the secrets to the popular kids, but you couldn't tell your best friends a single word? The guilt was really starting to eat at me then, but I couldn't even bring myself to say I was sorry. After class, I headed to my school job. When I walked into the office, I heard the teachers complaining to the principal about everything that had been going on at school. Now all the kids know about my personal life. Miss Lynch was crying at her desk because she was so deeply ashamed. The other teachers were outraged as well, and insisted on finding out who would expose their secrets. Someone is clearly eavesdropping on our closed-door meetings. Don't worry, I'll find out who it is. A bolt of fear shot through me, because I knew all too well that I was the one behind it. If the principal learned the truth, I'd be fired for sure, and I desperately needed the money. I was saving for college. That's when I decided I'd never share another secret with my classmates. But the next day, the popular kids actually called me over to their table. I sat right next to David, feeling like a total A-lister. Come on, Jodi, spill some more tea. What else do you know? I gazed at David with love-struck eyes and saw him waiting for my answer. Before I knew it, I spilled even more school secrets. Everyone burst out laughing. Hey, we're all going to a stand-up show tomorrow night. You should come with us. I said yes before I even had time to remember my promise to myself to keep quiet. As I walked down the hallway, I cursed myself under my breath for losing control again and blurting everything out. I slumped into the office and started sorting the mountain of paperwork Miss Stewart had left for me. I was putting some files into the safe when I noticed a strange folder buried under a pile of old records. Curiosity got the better of me. I opened it and froze. There were several documents, all with Miss Stewart's face on them, but the names were completely different. Names and identities I had never heard of in my life. I couldn't believe that our honest, upstanding Miss Stewart wasn't really who she claimed to be. I quickly pulled out my phone, took pictures of all the documents, and then carefully put the folder back and locked the safe. What was I supposed to do now? Go to the police? They'd want to know how I found them, and I couldn't exactly admit to going through the principal's private safe. Besides, maybe there was a logical explanation. Maybe Miss Stewart wasn't a criminal after all. I was completely lost and had no idea what to do. I sprinted to find Tara and Greta. I needed my real friends more than ever, but when I found them, they basically showed me the door. Why are you here? Go ask your cool friends for help. I realized they weren't going to listen to a word I said, so I just walked away. I couldn't sleep that night. All I could think about was how to expose Miss Stewart. I kept zooming in on the photos, looking for a lead. That's when I saw it. Every single one of those fake IDs listed the exact same address. I googled the address and my heart froze. It was a high-security psychiatric clinic. A chill ran down my spine. I spent the rest of the night staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through terrifying scenarios, each one worse than the last. The next morning, I ran into Bobby in the hall. I couldn't help myself. I had to say something. What are you doing, Bobby? I'm dropping out. I'm just taking my stuff and leaving. Is it because people are laughing? The worst part is none of it's true. I just spilled juice on my pants. But the teacher saw the wet spot and immediately assumed I'd peed myself. Now the whole school thinks so too. It was all my fault. I was about to apologize, to try and explain that I was the one who spread the rumor, but I missed my chance. And then, Miss Stewart appeared out of nowhere. Everything all right over here? Is there something you want to tell me, Jodi? My heart skipped a beat. I felt like she could see right through me, like she knew I'd been in her safe. I was terrified, but I forced the biggest, fakest smile I could muster. Nope, everything's fine. At that moment, I made up my mind. I had to uncover the principal's secret. Then I turned around and ran off to find the popular kids. I immediately told them everything I'd found out about Miss Stewart, the folder in the safe, the strange documents with other people's names on them, and the psychiatric clinic. But they just exchanged looks and burst out laughing. That sounds like the plot of some cheap horror movie. Got any more stories about the teachers? That's when I realized they didn't understand how serious this was. To them, it was nothing more than juicy school gossip. You have to come with me to that clinic. We need to find out what our principal is hiding. But they just brushed me off and said that they were going to the stand-up show because it was way more interesting. A wave of disappointment washed over me. My new friends were no help at all. All they wanted were laughs, drama, and a good story. I was about to leave when someone suddenly touched my elbow. I turned around and saw David. I believe you. If you want to get to the bottom of this, I'll go with you. I almost jumped for joy. My crush didn't just believe me, he actually offered to help. After school, we headed to the psychiatric clinic, the one I'd found online. We walked inside and found ourselves at the reception desk, with a stern-looking woman in a white coat sitting behind it. I showed her a picture of Miss Stewart and asked if anyone there knew her. We don't give information out about employees or patients. It was a disaster. We'd wasted so much time and learned absolutely nothing. What if we sneak inside and dig through their archives? I happily agreed. The thought of David and me doing a real detective investigation together made my heart sing. We came up with a plan. I would distract the security guard while David slipped inside. I walked up to the guard and started sneezing and coughing loudly, pretending to have a terrible allergy attack. Are you okay? At that moment, David quickly slipped past him and disappeared through the clinic doors. I waited outside for what felt like forever, though it was probably only about 20 minutes. Finally, the door opened and David came out, slightly out of breath. So, what did you find out? But David shook his head in disappointment. I didn't find anything about Miss Stewart. It's pointless. I was really upset. We got on the bus and spent the ride home discussing how we could keep investigating the principal's secret. David walked me all the way home, and we stood on the porch for another 20 minutes, chatting about random things. That night, I lay in bed, replaying every moment I'd spent with my crush. My imagination ran wild, filling my head with dreams of what our future together might look like. Happy and smiling, I finally closed my eyes and fell asleep. That morning, I arrived at school in a great mood, excited to see David so we could continue our investigation. But then I noticed a group of popular kids gathered around someone in the hallway. I moved closer and heard a familiar voice. Yesterday, I snuck into the psychiatric clinic and found documents in the archive proving that our principal, Miss Stewart, used to work there. Our classmates were listening with their mouths open in shock, While David acted like he was some kind of star, I waited until the crowd thinned out a little and then went up to him. "You're telling everyone about the archive documents, even though last night you told me you hadn't found anything?" David admitted that he'd lied to me. "I saw how popular you became by sharing all the school's rumors and secrets, and I wanted a taste of that attention too. So I decided I'd be the one to tell our classmates that story." The guy I liked so much turned out to be nothing but a loser who stole my story and passed it off as his own just to become popular. I didn't say anything. I just turned around and walked away. I spent the rest of the school day not talking to anyone and barely even looking at people. I finally realized one simple truth. The popular kids only liked people who told funny jokes and spread juicy rumors. But me, just as myself, meant nothing to them. I regretted ever getting involved with that group and trading my friends for fake ones. I felt ashamed and disgusted with myself, and I swore I would never be like that again. We were sitting through our last class of the day when Miss Stewart suddenly walked into the room. Everyone went quiet and stared at her. "I've learned that David has been spreading nasty rumors about teachers and students. Behavior like that will not go unpunished. I am suspending David from school, and I will be filing a report with law enforcement for defamation." I watched David's head droop lower and lower. I felt deeply uncomfortable, even though I knew he had brought it on himself. After school, I headed to work with a heavy heart. I stepped into the office and saw the principal right away. "I planted those fake documents in my safe on purpose. My son made them in Photoshop. The address of the psychiatric clinic is real, though. Many years ago I worked there as an aide and helped people who were mentally ill. It was a trap and David fell right into it. So now, we know who was spreading the rumors." At that moment, something inside me sank. I felt horribly ashamed, because David would be punished because of me. Sure, he had acted foolishly and cruelly, but he didn't deserve such a harsh punishment, especially since the real person behind all those rumors was me. "Miss Stewart, the truth is, I was the one spreading the rumors about the teachers and students. David only repeated something he had heard from me. I explained to the principal that I had been desperate to become popular at school and to get people to notice me." Then Miss Stewart smiled and said she had known everything from the beginning. "You were the only one who knew all the school secrets, but I didn't punish you right away because I wanted you to come forward and confess. That's the only way a lesson like this really sinks in." "What's going to happen to me now? Are you going to turn me into the police?" "I'm not even going to fire you. You've already learned a very important lesson, and I doubt you'll ever make that mistake again." Suddenly, I felt this surge of resolve building within me. "You're an honest and fair woman, so I need to do the honest thing too. Bobby didn't do anything wrong, and he got hurt because of me." The next day, I called Bobby and asked him to come back to our school one last time. He agreed, though he clearly didn't want to. We walked into the cafeteria together, right when it was packed with students. I picked up a glass of juice and poured it straight down the front of my jeans. The whole cafeteria turned to stare at me. "Look, I wet myself. Now you can all laugh at me and spread your little rumors." The popular kids burst out laughing, but I saw the others too. Their faces weren't amused at all. They understood what I was trying to say, and they looked at Bobby with sympathy. "So, are you coming back to school now?" Bobby looked at me and nodded shyly. A few days later, everything was back to normal, and I couldn't have been happier. I made up with Tara and Greta. David wasn't expelled or anything, but after that whole story, he definitely kept a lower profile. And I no longer had a crush on him because I realized that a real dream guy shouldn't be anything like him. But most importantly, I had a new dream. Miss Stewart's honesty, patience, and wisdom inspired me so much that I decided I wanted to become a teacher and apply to teacher training college. I want to help teenagers who are as foolish as I once was learn from my mistakes. And who's your role model?